Hello and welcome, everybody. Okay, so now I'm live on both platforms again. So, welcome, everybody. Welcome back to day three. Super excited to have you all back, and let's make this a really great session today. You are here because you want to learn or you want to brainstorm, you want to find solutions as to how you can go from feeling the overwhelm, the symptoms that you're experiencing, the just existing and not knowing how to get to the other side, to the thriving part of autoimmune. And this is why I have been putting together these 4 days for you. And I am guiding you through the 4 day seminar. So welcome back, everybody. Please do me a favor if you are hopping on live. I would love to know who you are, where you're from, how your day is going. Everybody who's new here, I will introduce myself quickly. And everybody who's new here, I will quickly tell you how we roll during the 4 days so that you know exactly what you're in for, what you can do, because you can also win a giveaway. Not a getaway, that would be nice, but a little giveaway. Okay, so welcome everybody to day three. So today we're going to be talking about adrenal health and stress response. So for those of you who don't know me, who are just joining, who came in here for the seminar just on its own, welcome. I'm so glad that you took the initiative and signed up for this, because this 4 day information, resources, strategies, and tools that I am sharing with you, and I'm also sharing with you the more in-depth connections that I really needed to understand in order to help myself and get out of my own autoimmune nightmare, is something that is dear to my heart and that I think is really important for people to understand in order to then create their own roadmap to autoimmune thriving and living really well with it. So it's a roadmap that we're talking about here, right? We're not talking about the 4 day seminar. It's not about, laying out the exact steps that you will have to take, because it looks a little bit different for everybody. Um, Everybody has a different health history. Everybody has slightly different symptoms. Everybody has, different imbalances in the body. We have to understand that. But what I have found in my own life and in working with my clients and in running my practice is that there is four main pillars in which we'll have to navigate in different ways. So it looks a little bit different for everybody, like I said, but we need to address those four pillars with certain steps and strategies so that we can introduce health and balance and homeostasis back to our bodies. Our bodies are chronically inflamed because of so many reasons, but there is always the opportunity every day to make changes in order to help our bodies to shift it back into balance on different levels. And those different levels are basically four pillars that I know we'll have to all address at one point. And so this is what we're doing here. I'm guiding you through these four pillars that I have seen are really extremely important. And I'm giving you tangible steps and strategies that you can put into place right away. And I will also explain the connections. So on day one, we talked about gut health and whole foods quite a bit. Got a great deal of response from you guys on day one for the gut health. I mean, I always start with the gut health because gut health is seriously involved in everybody of us, right? And again, there might be different challenges. You might have candida, you might have SIBO, you might have dysbiosis, you might have low stomach acid, but it's something that we have to work on. And I give you lots of strategies on how you can start and go ahead and do that and introduce the food and diversify your diet to bring in those nutrients. On day two, yesterday was a really great session. So if you have not watched yesterday, I highly encourage you to do it because I was not holding back. I was actually sharing a slide presentation with you that comes out of my program that I actually share with my clients and dive deep into in my program and explain the detoxification pathways and how important it is and what you can do in order to support them on a daily basis, right? Because we said yesterday, if you're starting to support your body, it's something that you are creating daily. It's something that you are putting into place because you are going to change your life. It's not you doing something, in order to quote unquote heal or get better, and then you go right back into what you have been doing before, which has not been serving you so far because you're still experiencing symptoms. So it's a mindset shift around we are creating a new way of living, a new way of being, a new way of doing things. So we talk about the mindset tomorrow, really, really big piece. So yesterday we talked about the detox pathways, what you can do regularly to daily detoxify your body. So go ahead and watch it. If you need a replay, let me know or let Helen know. Helen Oliveira, she's my community manager in here. So reach out to her. We can tag you on the replays. No problem. You can also find the replays in the guide section. There's a section that is called seminar. And I will leave everything up for another week. So you can go back and watch the replays for another week, which is really, really great. So you can take a lot of notes. If you haven't yet downloaded your workbook, I encourage you to do so. I posted it actually in the group, or reach out to us. We can send it to you. Your workbook is going to be your guide for this week, which can help you to implement a lot better and write down notes. Okay. Let's see. So, okay, there is somebody from Ontario. Yes, she's doing great and enjoying the 4-day seminar. I'm so happy you're here. So happy you're here. Okay. So let me know how you guys are doing. If you're ready for this, we are on day 3. Before I go ahead and get started on the topic and give you the material and the information, I want to let you know that with the 4 days comes a complimentary 15-minute, 20-minute connect call with me. If this information is resonating with you, if this information is something that really helps you brainstorm and really helps you think about, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that. Oh my goodness, that is new for me. That is great information. I'm going to implement this. But you're struggling because you experience a lot of brain fog, or you can't really focus, or you don't even know how to get started on all of these pillars. The 15-20 minute connect call with me is a free complimentary call that I offer to you during the seminar only to help you get started on your journey, to help you make this material work for you. Okay. So take advantage of it. I will be posting my calendar link here in the comments in a separate post. And on Instagram, it's in my bio. Okay, so no strings attached. I will be just helping you to implement these things because there's a lot of information that I'm sharing with you here. So my wish for all of you guys is that you take at least one piece of this information that I'm sharing, implementing it into your life, really making a change so that you can start this journey, this roadmap, that you can create that roadmap from where you are at right now to where you want to be. Okay, so set a goal, make this happen. It is possible for all of us, but we have to get started on it. Okay, so take advantage of that call. It's completely free, and I'm here for you. Number 2, complete the homework. So I get a lot of responses, I have a lot of questions, which is great, from women going through the seminar, showing interest, understanding the material and reaching out. Do the homework, right? So if you put the homework into place, you will actually take the 10 minutes to think about these things I was talking about. And once you write things down, it has been shown in studies that you connect with it. It sinks in way more than when you're just consuming the information. So this is your action step during the seminar. Write the things down into the homework thread or put it on paper and send it to me. Like, take the action. This 4-day seminar is for you guys. Okay. I'm doing that to help you. So do the homework. And if you do the homework every day, you can actually win something. Okay, so I encourage you to do the work. And I am giving away this time an amazing product, so there's no affiliation with this product, right? It's just something that I love because it's a well-researched product. It's a well-researched company and it has amazing quality assurance behind it. And I'm giving away a high quality professional brand probiotic as well as prebiotic, right? So which will be super helpful for your gut health. Okay. So it's from Microbiome Labs, and it's a probiotic and a prebiotic powder that I'm giving away. Okay, so you can win that if you put in the homework. Okay, let me know if there's any questions. I will be checking into the Facebook group every now and then to see if there's any questions. So just bear with me if I go quiet here for a second and my eyes wander off, as I am going to check in my Facebook group. Okay. If there's anything. If you need anything, let me know. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. If anything that I say resonates with you, it speaks to you, give me a hands up. If anything is describing you, give me a hands up. If you want to share something with you, give me a hands up. I can actually have a conversation with you, and that might be helpful as well. Okay. All right, guys. So let me just check if there's anything going on in the Facebook group. How are you? I see that there are some people watching. I'm very happy to have you. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, ladies. So today we are going to talk about stress. We're going to talk about stress management. We are going to be talking about um, um, I got, sidetracked here for a second. Okay. So we're going to be talking about adrenal health. We're going to be talking about stress. And we're going to be talking, I'm going to give you some really good information on how stress is really impacting your body's functions that you might not be connecting with stress. And then I will give you some tips and ideas and some products that I like to support your adrenals. Okay, so stay until the end and write down that information. So, in your workbook, you will see that I have listed under day 3 the impact of stress on our autoimmune body. So, I know that everybody is experiencing stress in their lives. Okay, so it's not new information. Everybody knows that. And everybody knows that it's not something that is good for us. But we don't understand actually how stress oftentimes is expressing itself in our physical body. And so oftentimes we are experiencing symptoms and they seem to be coming out of the blue, and we don't realize that it's actually connected to stress. So today I want to do a little bit of a deep dive into how the main hormone, stress hormone cortisol, actually can trigger a variety of different symptoms in your body that you can then connect to stress. And then you can also make decisions on how to alleviate your stress and come up with stress management tools. So in your workbook, you will see that there is a almost like a ladder that's going to happen in your body when you are experiencing chronic stress. And what I'm talking about here is chronic stress. I'm talking about the stress response that is never interrupted. I'm talking about the stress response that you're not managing. And this is where the issue lies. The issue does not lie into you experiencing stress. It's a normal daily thing that's happening to all of us, and it's going to continue to happen. But it's the fact that we are going to have to acknowledge the stress, and then we'll have to alleviate the stress and allow the stress response to calm down by the end of it, and then go back into the rest and digest phase. And why is that important? Because it is important because of one of your hormones in your body, which is your stress hormone, and that is called cortisol. And cortisol is a stress hormone that is being activated when there is chronic stress. Now, chronic stress in your body and your life It's both. It's physical and it's emotional and mental stress, right? So from a physical standpoint, is we are unfortunately living with chronic inflammation, right? So we are having chronic inflammation that is happening in our body. So this is a big stressor in our lives internally. So that is something that we have to address, and that is something we can do with food, for example, right? So and go back to day one with anti-inflammatory foods, with the minerals, with the fiber, in order to bring down the inflammation. That is one side of the stress response, right? The physiological side of it. The second side of it is the emotional stress. And that is something where we have to spend a lot of time in if we are um, really, if we are determined to come out of the brain fog, the fatigue, the joint pain, the overwhelm, the anxiety, all of these things are related to emotional stress that is expressing itself in our physical body. And so why is that? And that is because there is a hormone that is called cortisol. It's the long term stress response in your body that is triggering the cortisol in your body. And you probably have heard about cortisol before, right? But cortisol, the next pointer on your worksheet in your workbook is blood sugar response. So that's the one thing I want to dive into a little bit today is the connection between cortisol and the blood sugar imbalance, which then leads to insulin resistance. Okay, so you might not be having made that connection between cortisol, your stress response, insulin resistance, weight gain, as well as blood sugar response, which then further down, in the course of that response, we're talking about adrenal fatigue, and then we're talking about cell destruction and inflammation, and then we're talking about gut microbiome imbalance and reduced immunity. See how it all comes together for you, like when we're not being aware of what our stressors are and what we need to put into place in order to intercept and work through the stress response. All of these different factors are going to be coming in for you and disrupting your homeostasis, your balance in your body. So let me hone in a little bit on how cortisol plays a role in blood sugar. And I really want you to take notes. If you have this sheet, take it out now. How does cortisol play a role? So elevated cortisol, number one, when you go through a stress response, adrenaline kicks in first, right? That gives you the, ooh, something happened. Your heart rate goes up. You're reacting to something, which is fine. It's your stress response. If you didn't have that adrenaline shoot through your body, you would be dead by now, right? So it's a good response. However, after the initial stress response, you go through the stress and then your body is calming down. Like you are starting to feel hungry, you want to renourish yourself, you're going into the rest and digest phase. If there is an ongoing stressor, and that can be relationship issues, work stress all the time, you know, children not being able to, take care of your children because of your physical fatigue. That can be a traffic if you have to drive a lot, if you're stuck in traffic jam, if there's like worries and negative thoughts that are coming into your mind, all of these things are keeping your stress response elevated, which means the adrenaline has done its thing. And now we're going into the cortisol. The cortisol is the one that keeps your body in that stress response because the cortisol is your natural anti-inflammatory. The cortisol is also the hormone that is, write that down, slowing down your digestion. It's getting really dark in here right now because there is like a really bad storm coming my way. So I apologize if I'm a little bit dark on Instagram over here. So write this down. Cortisol is slowing down your digestion and absorption of nutrients. Why does that matter? It matters because you can't eat the best diet in the world, for your body. If your digestion and absorption are not working well, you're not utilizing those nutrients that are coming into your system. So, cortisol, the activated cortisol, is constantly slowing down your digestion because the energy that your body is using, it's being used to fight or flight. It's been used to focus your brain on things. It's being used for getting the energy into your muscles and all of these things. So number two, cortisol raises blood sugar. Okay, it raises your blood sugar. And so why is that? Why does cortisol raise your blood sugar? And for all of you guys, and I know that we all have to deal with this. I mean, our blood sugar imbalances are the number one issue that I see when in women with autoimmune, especially Hashimoto's, right? Even if you don't believe you have blood sugar issues, even if it doesn't show up on your tests yet, right? If your blood sugar levels show fine, you can tell by specific symptoms. Again, listen to your body by specific symptoms that something is out of balance. Number one, what does that mean? How does it show up in your body? So it shows up in your body by you're experiencing that energy crash. You're experiencing that crash anywhere between 1 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All of a sudden, your energy drops. You have been fatigued before, but now it's like the next level. You need to have a nap. You need to just not do anything anymore because you're experiencing that drop, right? So then as you go on through your day, you are most likely grabbing towards something that is, rejuvenating you, mostly sugar, sometimes caffeine, all of these things to get your blood sugar back up. It is a sign that your blood sugar is dipping very quickly. And at the end of the day, you are most likely getting your second wind. So you have been sluggish all day, but then come 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you are in a position where all of a sudden you find that the brain fog is lifting. All of a sudden you find that, oh my goodness, now I have to focus. Now I have, some sort of energy to get my job done, to get my tasks and my duties done. And that is when you go into, getting everything done. Like you are like an energizer bunny that in at night and getting all of these things done and taking advantage of how you're feeling. So let me know in the comments. And if you catch this in a replay, hashtag replay, and still comment on it, if this describes you. So this is the combination of the blood sugar roller coaster and the elevated cortisol. The elevated cortisol is something that raises your blood sugar and brings it out of balance. Why is that? Because the cortisol hormone is meant to liberate energy. Why? Because when your body is going through a stress response, it needs energy to function, right? Extra energy. So the cortisol is signaling and bringing in the information to your cells to release the glucose into the body, right? Give me that sugar because I need that energy in order to really tackle that stress response. So that is why your cortisol is triggering high blood sugar. The high blood sugar, the blood sugar, sorry, the sugar that was stored is now being released into your blood because your body thinks it needs it in the stress situation, right? So what happens? Your blood sugar goes up. All of a sudden, your blood sugar is too high and it needs to be put away in the cells because you are not physically moving. You're not physically reacting to a stress response. It's mostly in our thoughts. It's mostly like stressors that have nothing to do with physically outrunning a lion or something like that. So the blood sugar is circulating in your blood. Now, what do we have to do? right? What do we have to do? We need our bodies, we can't just have a high blood sugar. It needs to go back into the cells. So how does it get back into the cells? Do you guys know? Here's a few comments coming in. So let me ask you guys, how is the sugar, when we're experiencing that rush, how is it going back into the cells? I'm asking you. Let me know if you know in the comments. At night, I can keep working or doing things till 11 without issues. Sometimes I need a nap around 3:30 and 4 o'clock. That's it. That is exactly it. So there's a combination of the blood sugar imbalance and the cortisol response that is out of balance. And we'll need to bring that back into balance in order to decrease inflammation, which is the next step. So, how does it get into the cells? It uses insulin. Insulin is like a little carrier. Insulin latches onto the sugar and it delivers it back into the cells. So here's the thing though. If that happens too often, right, the insulin opens the door to the cell. And so the insulin knocks on the door, on the cell door and says, "Hey, let me in. I have energy I need to deposit." It's just like somebody who knocks on your door. The first time you open it, the second time you might be opening it, the third time, maybe not. But most certainly the fourth and fifth time, you're like, no, enough. I don't need anymore. I have what I need, right? So you don't open the door anymore. And this is exactly what your cells do. They're not responding to the insulin response anymore, right? They are becoming insulin resistant, right? So this is the term insulin resistance that's coming up. Does that make sense to you guys? So now you understand why insulin resistance comes up so much when we are dealing with chronic inflammation and stress and with the cortisol rise. Okay. So I really wanted to make that connection. So now we're talking about weight gain. So now where is the energy going? Right? It still needs to go away. So it's going to be deposited into your liver. It's going to be deposited into your muscles. It's going to be mostly deposited into fat cells for long-term storage. So if you are somebody who's dealing with any sort of fatty liver, that's here is one of the reasons as to why you're dealing with fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver. Huge thing, right? Blood sugar, cortisol. Um, okay, so I hope this makes sense so far. Okay, so you now understand how important it is to keep the cortisol response, you know, level so that you are making sure that your blood sugar is not constantly out of control. Okay. Let me see. Let me just go back to my worksheet that you guys have here in order to make the next point. Um, okay, yes. So now we're getting into, we talked about the weight gain and we talked about the blood sugar and how it's related to stress. And now the insulin resistance. And now we're going to be talking about the adrenal fatigue. So now we are talking about the adrenal fatigue. So when the cortisol, so cortisol is being produced in your adrenal glands mostly. Okay, so it's manufactured in your adrenal glands, and if you're constantly experiencing what I just described, your adrenals are starting to become sluggish. They can only produce so much, right, to keep you going at that level. If at any point, if it becomes too much, if it's ongoing, your adrenals will not be able to keep up with production. Number one is the reason why that is nutrient deficiencies. So when you are in a constant state of stress, your demand for nutrients is extremely high because there's a lot of cell destruction, there's a lot of inflammatory response happening in your body because of all of that. So what does your body need? Your body needs nutrients in order to rebuild the destruction, the cells that are being damaged, right? So your nutrient um, um, need goes up. Also, your adrenals need certain nutrients in order to keep producing the cortisol. And so then, if we're not eating the right foods in not in the right amounts, and if our gut is out of balance and our digestion absorption is out of balance, we are simply not getting the nutrients that we need in order to just keep the adrenals going with the cortisol response. So then we are starting to shift into adrenal fatigue slowly. There's three different levels of adrenal fatigue, which I'm talking about in detail with my clients so that they know exactly which level they're at, because there's different strategies, botanicals, foods, lifestyle changes you can implement for each stage of fatigue that you're in. Okay. So keep that in mind. And if that is something that you want to explore, please talk to your healthcare practitioner about it to Hello, everybody. Are you guys still there? Let me know if you guys are still there. I just lost you, and it was like the biggest lightning and biggest thunderstorm that we just had um, since the last storm, which was crazy. Give me a hands up in the comments if you're still here waiting. Thank you so much for hanging in there as I was reconnecting. So sorry about that. Um, yeah, so sorry about that. But here we are. Okay. So where was I? Oh yes, I think I was at hold on a second. Adrenal fatigue. Right. I was talking about adrenal fatigue. Okay. So adrenal fatigue. My Instagram is like completely down right now, but that's okay. I'll be reposting that in the comments anyways, in the feed anyways. Okay. Yes, so adrenal fatigue. So I talked about how we need a lot of nutrients because our bodies are experiencing a lot of, cell destruction and an an increased demand of certain nutrients. And so we need to address that, right? But if we are not able to digest and absorb our food, then we're not able to get the nutrients in. So you can see that it's such a vicious cycle that we're entering here with the stress, but also with the gut health. And that is why we need to really hone in on all of these areas in order to get back to balance. So when that happens with the adrenal fatigue, how can we navigate that? And I will give you some ideas on how you can do that. But let me first check my workbook because I was going to talk about something else. Yes. So I want to take it one step further with you if you want to hang in there. So we talked about the adrenal fatigue and how we need a lot of nutrients for that. Also, think about your hormone balance, right? You probably didn't know that cortisol actually, there's something called, it's called cortisol steal, right? So in order to get the nutrients in to create more and more cortisol, it actually steals from other hormones. It can steal from your progesterone. So if you're running into estrogen progesterone imbalances, think about stress as well. And the last pointer that I want to make, you'll see that on your worksheet, is the brain gut connection. How stress actually actively damages your microbiome. So, stress has been shown to negatively impact your bacteria. So, your bacteria are actually responding to stressors, um, to cortisol rise in your body. The cortisol itself has a negative impact on your gut lining, but then also on your gut bacteria. They're starting to become, believe it or not, more aggressive. So it has been shown that your gut bacteria are very in tune with your inner feelings and the emotions in your body. They're responding to that. And when we are constantly under stress, constantly rushed, constantly hustling, constantly worrying, constantly having negative thoughts, your gut bacteria are actually um, becoming out of balance just as much. And they have been shown to out crowd friendly bacteria in your gut health. So the more you are starting to address your stress levels, the more you're also supporting your gut microbiome and your gut health. And that will in itself help you to use to take the next step towards proper gut health, right? So I hope that makes sense. And I hope that really drives it home for you to understand how critical stress is to address on all different levels in our body. And we are not understanding that, and we're not paying too much attention or actively really working on our stress levels. So let me know in the comments if that resonates with you. Let me know if this is something that some of it is new, and if you feel motivated to really actively work on your stress response now. And so there's a few things that I really like to do when it comes to stress response, and I honestly, that is something that I work so much with my clients on, because we it doesn't always have to be the big traumatic experience that we're experiencing that causes stress in our bodies. It's been when we're not feeling well physically. And I understand that because I was in your shoes 11, 12 years ago, even before that. it's we are in a very difficult situation because we are feeling fatigue, we are having the brain fog, we don't have the energy, we're having the gut issues, but we also have a family. We have to look after our family. We have to have a social life. We have to, you know, tend to our tasks and duties. And so just regular day-to-day stuff that comes easy for everybody else might not come easy to us because of the situation that we're in. And this in itself can be a stressor. So I'll give you one example. As I was working with one of my clients, is it turned out after we're having a conversation that, she loved cooking and she knows the recipes and all of these things, and she loves to prepare food and all of these things. But the meal planning and the meal prep was something that entirely stressed her out. She didn't know how to go about it, right? So she didn't know how to sit down and come up with a really good plan, and how to source her food, and how to structure their meal planning and meal prepping. And so even though she loved the preparing of the food, it was stressing her out because her kids were running around and she was trying to put things together, and it was a very stressful scenario. So this is just something to become you will have to become very aware around and do some work around. What are your actual stress triggers in your life? What do you need to address? How can you put things into place to make these things easier for you? So I want to give you some ideas, and I also want to give you some botanicals that I love to use in order to support adrenal fatigue. So there's a few things that I want you to do. Okay, so there's a worksheet on day 3 that I want you to fill in, submit to me as the homework, but you can also just do it for yourself. So number 1 is list your personal stress triggers. Like I just discussed, honestly, that is the first step. Becoming really aware of what is stressing you out in your life, and how you can make changes, how you can rearrange your days, how you can outsource certain things, how you can bring in people to help you, how you can navigate tasks, right? Maybe have other people help you with certain tasks, time management, time blocking, all of these things. So write down your personal stress triggers, okay? Number 2, blood sugar roller coaster. So list one action step you can take to get off of the blood sugar roller coaster. So if you are a person who is experiencing the blood sugar roller coaster, where your energy levels drop and then you feel as if you need a pick me up all the time, like we said before, in the evening, you are getting your second wind. In the morning, you're so sluggish you can't even get out of bed. If you have those energy levels that are going up and down throughout the day, you are on a blood sugar roller coaster most likely. So how do you address this? So there's a whole blood sugar protocol that I'm share with my clients, that I'll walk them through. So of course, I can give you a few things, but if this is an issue for you, again, I really encourage you to talk to your healthcare practitioner, because that is such a huge issue. So what you can do for the blood sugar roller coaster is, number 1, you can start to work on your circadian rhythm. So which with the what that means is, you can really hone in on your morning routines, your evening routines around when you get up and when you get to bed, and create time where you can actually wind down in the evening, okay? Where you can actually reduce the stress response, like really hone and focus on activities that are reducing your stress response. What you can do, for example, is you can wear blue light glasses. I wear glasses that are blue light glasses that actually are red. They have red shades. My brain responds really well to the red color. As soon as I put on my red glasses, my whole body goes, oh. I put it on my kids. They're like, whoa, this is so nice, relaxing. So when we go on road trips, right, and we're driving through the night, or even like when you are a shift worker, or you work at night, put on these glasses that can really help your brain to relax. Is there any brand you recommend? No, not really. There's a lot of brands out there. You can do some research around it. There's better ones that are more expensive. I got mine off of Amazon. I can certainly put in the chat the ones that I got, and the higher end one. But really, there's a lot of different options out there. So that's just one thing you can do for your blood sugar roller coaster, right? Um, so from a nutrition perspective, you got to make sure that you have a steady income of nutrients coming into your body. Remember what I said about that your need for nutrient dense foods is increased. It's increased. So you got to make sure that you have a steady income of nutrients coming in. I see a lot of people going into intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting in itself is not a bad thing if your body is in the right position to do it. If your body is not in the right position to do it, which is when you're experiencing roller coaster, blood sugar roller coaster, your body is not in a position or adrenal fatigue of any sort, your body is not in a position to deal with intermittent fasting. That in itself is going to be a trigger, another stress trigger for your body. Got to make sure that the nutrients are coming in consistently throughout the day. Got to make sure that you food combine your meals properly, right? So that you don't spike the blood sugar response with your meals. So look into how you can food combine, how you can prepare your food, how you can make sure that the nutrients that you're consuming are actually helping you to keep your blood sugar stable. Okay, so this is something that I speak in depth with my women in my group about. Um, so do that. Take that to your health practitioner and get some direction around that. Another thing you can do, hold on, and for the blood sugar roller coaster, is that you will also have to make sure that you move your body regularly. And I'm not talking about going to the gym three days a week. If you want to go ahead, do it. What I'm talking about is remember how I said to you guys that energy is being liberated into our body because the response is we need to move and we need to physically be active and exercise when we're going through a stress response. Most of the time we don't do that, right? So with the blood sugar regulation is that after each meal you can move your body, you can actually physically move your muscles so that energy is being used up. Okay, so go for a walk after you eat your meals. Do some stretching, do some yoga if you want to, go for a brisk walk. Like make sure that you're moving your body. Okay, so that is what I wanted to share with you. And you can brainstorm some other steps you can take to get off the blood sugar roller coaster. So put that in your homework and answer that question. So managing stress, right? So list at least one action you can incorporate daily, consistently to move through stress more smoothly. Okay, so really, and that's where you have to do the other work first in knowing what your triggers are. If you don't know what your triggers are that is causing you stress, and that might need a little bit of digging, right? So it's not so obvious sometimes. Like I said, with the meal planning. So sit down and take those notes. And then if you are realizing that certain daily activities are causing you consistent stress, anxiety, worry, come up with a solution plan on how you're going to be dealing with that stress, okay, on a daily consistent basis. So I give you my example, right? So I can give you my example, what I did. So what I have learned in my life, and I see that oftentimes happening in other women too, so this will be helpful for you, is that if I don't allow myself time in the morning to start my day in a grounded way, that sets the tone for the rest of the day. I have created a structured morning routine, and that is something. So I'm not regimented anymore around it. So I switch things up. But what I'm very strict about is that I need my 2 hours. For me, it's a very long time that I need to start my day. My 2 hours in the morning in order to prepare myself for the day. So you might say, I don't have that much time. Like it's crazy. I'm just getting up and I run around. And that is the thing. If you're not allowing yourself that time, and it doesn't have to be 2 hours by all means, you can start by with 10, 15 minutes. But if you are not starting your day focusing on yourself in the morning, that sets the tone. It kicks in the cortisol response right away. If you wake up in the morning, if you first thought you have in your head is all the things you have to get done, all the things that you're already behind, all the things that you are, like lacking, this type of mindset is going to just instantly trigger your stress response right away. So, what you can do instead is take this time and start to feel grateful. The first thing that you do is you're starting to feel grateful. There's always something in our lives that we're grateful for, that we should be grateful for, because there are a lot of good things happening in our lives too. So, focus on the positive first, focus on the gratitude first, focus on your prayers, meditation, you know, the inner work, okay? And that'll help you just by default to get your brain into a position where it's relaxed and where it focuses, it creates the production of neurotransmitters that are bringing on happy, good feelings, right? So it has a physical response. It has a physical response. And so the blood sugar, you are starting to support your blood sugar that way. All right. So that is just one thing you can do. But brainstorm some other things around the triggers that are there for you. And if you want to share it with us in the seminar this week, share it in the comments. Okay. Get the conversation going so that women are realizing how important it is and that they sit down and actually think about it and put down their action steps to really, really encourage you to do that. Okay, so that is something, managing stress. List at least one action you can incorporate daily to move through stress more smoothly. And the last one is insomnia. Huge topic, huge topic. So let me know in the comments if you are somebody who is um, having issues with insomnia. Yeah, I know that most of us do. Most of us do. And there again, there's a big cortisol connection to insomnia. Other things do, but the cortisol connection is real with the insomnia. Okay, so again, circadian rhythm, blood sugar levels, it's all connected. Work on the circadian rhythm, work on your insomnia. What can you do to reduce your insomnia? What can you do in order to create that rhythm so that your body is starting to wind down at night? Okay. So there's again a few things that you can do. The glasses are great. There's also things if you are responsive to touch. So what really works well for my husband, for example, is a heavy blanket. So he ordered himself a heavy blanket. It's 40 pounds. And it's almost like when he puts that on himself, it's like a cocoon. He responds really well to that, like the feeling of being cradled. And it really slows down his nervous system. It doesn't work for me. For him, it works great. So think about outside the box. Think about what you can do in order to induce that nighttime routine to really help you go to sleep better. Of course, there are some things I wanted to share with you in terms of nutrition that can aid for these things as well. And I was going to talk to you about adrenal supplements. Okay. So there is like a whole, stress nutrient protocol that I have that I typically share with my clients, which is very specific around those nutrients that you need in order to keep your adrenals going. But what I want to share with you this week is um, adrenal support supplements. So mind you though, those are supplements That's what they are. They're supplements. They are meant to supplement and help you move through this phase a little bit easier. But there's a few things that I absolutely love and I take on a regular basis, on and off, depending on how I feel. So they are called adaptogens. Okay, so adaptogenic herbs and botanicals are an amazing way of supporting your adrenals during stressful times. My absolute favorite one, I'm not sure if I have it here. I was going to show it to you. I don't have it here right now. My favorite one is holy basil. Holy basil is an absolutely wonderful herb that can help you to move through the stress response in a more stable, composed way. It's a plant native to Southeast Asia, and it improves your cognitive function. And it has been shown to reduce salivary cortisol levels. So it's like the cortisol levels that are in your saliva has been shown to be reduced through holy basil. Holy basil for me is very great. It's an amazing herb because the cognitive function I can tell in my own life. It makes a huge difference for me. So when I'm frazzled, when I have a lot of things on my mind, of course I do all the lifestyle stuff, but the holy basil brings it to the next level. It helps me to refocus and feel calmer. So it also helps you to normalize blood glucose. So it's an amazing adaptogenic herb that can really help you on all of these levels. So rhodiola, I have somebody who's taking rhodiola twice a day. I like rhodiola. Rhodiola is another one that is on my list. Um, let me talk a little bit about rhodiola. Let me see who said that. Cheney. Is that how you say your name, Cheney? I don't want to say it wrong. Um, Yeah, so rhodiola, good for you. So rhodiola is also an adaptogenic herb that also has been shown to decrease cortisol levels, right? So there was a study that they did, and the subjects that they did the study on with stress-related fatigue were given 2 daily doses of rhodiola, so exactly what you're taking, for a duration of 28 days. The subjects experienced improved mental performance, concentration, and morning time cortisol secretion, known as the cortisol awakening response. So rhodiola is versus holy basil, rhodiola is known for its beneficial impact on physical and mental fatigue. So, especially the physical fatigue comes in with the rhodiola. So, the holy basil is more for the improvement in general stress symptoms. Um, you know, and in terms of mental so focus and concentration, and the rhodiola is something that helps you also with physical energy, like when you're feeling that the stress is really impacting like your physical energy, then a rhodiola is a good choice. The second one, sorry, the third one that I was going to talk to you about is vitamin C. Okay, so vitamin C. The adrenal glands contain one of the highest concentrations of vitamin C in the body. Adrenal glands need a lot of vitamin C, and the research indicates that stress can cause the adrenal glands to secrete vitamin C. So you're lacking a lot of vitamin C. So what I would like you to do is take a look at your vitamin C intake and the sort of recommended daily intake. And, I would go above the recommended daily intake because the recommended daily intake is usually placed very low. So I would definitely recommend to look into a higher dosage. If you want to talk to your healthcare practitioner about that, how high you want to go with the vitamin C, do that. But make sure that you get your vitamin C in on a daily, regular basis. Yes, look into holy basil. Holy basil is It's a really wonderful herb. I really, really love it. There's also holy basil tea actually that I have here in my cabinet that I drink on a regular basis. So good. It tastes so good. It's honestly delicious. My clients love it. The holy basil, so good. And the last one I was gonna share with you is one of my absolute favorite is the Asian ginseng. The Asian ginseng is one of my favorite ones. Now, it's it's an adaptogenic herb that actually possesses antioxidants in high amounts and anti-inflammatory benefits. So the ginseng is really wonderful if you're experiencing like the also the inflammatory symptoms, such as joint pain, muscle pain, all of these things. It can really help you with it. Um, but it also like it's an immunostimulant. So it's a stimulant in a way. So that is why I say if you are a person who is very anxious, and if you're a person who is very much on edge, if that describes you a little bit more, then maybe ginseng is not the best choice because it has that stimulating effect and it can actually make you feel a little bit more anxious and more nervous. So, but if this is not an issue for you, then American ginseng is an amazing adaptogenic herb for the HPA axis response, and as well as the immunosupporting and anti-inflammatory benefits. Okay, so that is something you can also look into. Okay, so those are the few supplements that I wanted to share with you that you can start right away. I gave you a little bit of background as to how they work in the body, which area they are specifically good for when it comes to supporting stress response and adrenal health. And to summarize it all, I hope it makes sense that the stress response now, you now know that it triggers so many different um, physical imbalances in your body, so that it's super important if you want to get to autoimmune thriving to really work on this pillar of stress response adrenal health long term every day, right? So it's not something that you do once and then you're done with it. It's something that you start to incorporate in your days. It's going to become part of you. It's going to become part of you. It's going to become part of your lifestyle. The person that I am now, I'm still the same, but yet I'm entirely different. The way I live my life now, the way I look at my life, the way I you know, put certain pillars into place and frameworks into place and boundaries into place is very different from the person I was 15 years ago. So I know that in order for my body to feel well consistently over a long period of time, I need to be aware of these things and I need to communicate these things. And I need to communicate these things with my family members, with my social network, and with myself first and foremost with myself. I need to understand who I am, where I'm coming from, what I can and cannot do, and what I need in order to keep that level of health. And I'm telling you, it feels really, really good to have the mental clarity, to have the energy, to not have any bloating, to be able to eat mostly everything that I want, to have absolutely no bloated stomach anymore, no gas, no nothing like that anymore. It doesn't happen overnight, but it takes work. But you can get there. It's absolutely possible to get there. Okay. So I hope this was helping you and was helpful for you, motivating, and also triggers you to put something into place. All right, everybody. So do the homework. So please do me a favor, do the homework. And also, if you want to, like I said, 15-20 minute connect call still stands with me this week throughout the seminar. We can dial in on your own health and see how you can make this information work for you. Tomorrow is going to be our last day of this seminar. It's going to be our last day, so please come tomorrow. We are going to be talking about the mindset piece. I have a lot to share about how you can reframe your mindset and your thinking patterns around autoimmune so that you can, from an emotional standpoint, help support your physical health. If you're not doing that, your mind can override anything that you do on your physical level anytime. So come join me tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern. It's the last day. And on Friday, actually, I'm going to be doing a Q&A, a bonus session Q&A. So if you have any questions, send them my way. I'll be answering them all on Friday. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the session. And I will see you again tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Do the homework, book in your call with me, take advantage of this week. I'm here for you all week. And I will see you again tomorrow for the mindset piece. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful remainder of your day. All right. See you guys later. Bye.